And welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is one step at a time, putting one foot in front of another in the fulfillment of our intentions. So, making the journey be something that is relished and cherished, as well as the objective. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you joining us this morning. And welcome to everyone else who's with us. Today, we're talking about one step at a time. And we have been deeply enculturated uh, to the notion of goals and setting a goal and then taking action toward the achievement of that goal. And I personally prefer the notion of intentions to goals. And there are several reasons for that. One is goals are kind of, especially smart goals, that I forget what each of the letters stands for, but one is specific, achievable, measurable. Specific, I think, measurable, achievable, and I don't remember what the other two letters are. But anyway, the thing is that they're time delineated. Maybe that's what T is about, and they are very specific. And one of the things that I put a lot of focus on in my life, in my work, in whatever I'm uh, about, really, is to be as present in the moment and the process as possible. That life is process, that it's not outcome. So what can one of the potential pitfalls of goals is that we move toward the goal at any cost, not being engaged and present in the actual experience of the moment of our lives as our lives are unfolding. And therefore, the intention to me is bringing us back to the experience of being, because we're living inside that intention. And the intention can be broader than the goal. It allows for different manifestations. It allows for life to occur in the process of the unfolding of that objective or intention. And so the distinction is to have an intended, maybe intended destination, intended achievement, intended objective, and we get to enjoy the journey, which is really what it's about anyway. The goal is to, or the intention really is to get us activated into a journey. And the outcome, despite our cultural conditioning, I believe, is less important than the process. That it is the living of life rather than the achievements of life that are relevant. And how can I say that when we're so oriented toward making a difference and having an impact? And the thing is, if we zoom out, and to different degrees, you can zoom out pretty far, I guess, because we have people whose legacies have lasted for thousands of years. But if we zoom out the achievements, in the grander scale of the universe, the things that we consider achievements, and whatever the nice house, the great car, or the shifting of certain perspectives, um, they have varying levels of impact and importance and longevity. And I tend to perceive what we're doing here as an expression of life that is kind of playing out a game. And in so many ways, the game that what I guess we get to look at, what is the game that we're playing out? I kind of think that, like, this is one of the ways that I look at life and that I play with, is that this is like a giant amusement park where we get to have all these incredible experiences. And we have emotional experiences, we have physical experiences, we have the experience of conceptualizing, of sensing, and we make up these games, I'm just going to say, to play, to be able to experience things. And so when we're so driven by achievement, if we zoom out, the mass of those achievements are not particularly relevant. And yet we make ourselves crazy in the pursuit of them. We assign such great importance and significance to so many things in our lives that really, as we zoom out, don't make much of a difference. So I remember reading, a test of how we can, or a way that we can maybe adjust our perspective in the moment to say, how important is this? Is this something that I'm going to remember 5 years from now? Is this something that's going to make a difference 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Is this something that is that significant? And when we take that test of time, when we step back and take a broader view, we literally establish a different perspective on so many of the things that we believe to be so important in the moment. So when we talk about one step at a time, the idea is to be present to the steps, to be present in our lives, because that is what we're here with and for. It's not a practice life. We get to, or maybe it is, maybe we get to do it over and over and over again. But while we're here, we get to experience it. And why not be present for it rather than going from marker to marker and kind of being on automatic for that journey. So it's not that the game that we play and the objectives we set for ourselves, it's not that they're irrelevant. However, they are not the only, or in my view, most relevant thing. The most relevant thing is the journey and the being along the way, and the discovery and the enjoyment, or the lack of enjoyment. Even, what are we creating in our minute to minute experience? What are we creating in the world in terms of awareness and consciousness and being? So I tend to believe that we contribute to the greater field, that it's all us. As we look out into the world, I'm you, you're me. We're all part of this greater perception and experience that's a unified whole. And if that's the case, then the way that I be impacts that greater field. And this is really a pretty radical shift of perspective and meaning. It's not the way that typically we live. Most of how human beings live on the planet is oriented almost exclusively around human beings. Even our relationship to nature is often characterized by how it affects us, like how nature's in service to us, rather than us being a very small part of a much greater ecosystem. What do we concern ourselves with? We concern ourselves with our technology, with our jobs, with our families, with our homes, with our possessions. There aren't that many of us that are that deeply connected to nature. Maybe we have a garden, then it's our garden that we're trying to produce food for our consumption, right? So our concerns are pretty heavily confined or defined by the world as created by humans. And there's such a much bigger world to be aware of and to experience. And we elevate so many of our human experiences to such great importance, where in the greater scheme of things, we are a blip, right? I mean, we're the newest, youngest life form on the planet, right? In terms of intelligence and the intelligence of nature, which has been nurturing and cultivating itself for eons. And here humans are with great self-importance, and our world is all about our creations. Particularly when we focus on all of our goals and outcomes and objectives. And what kinds of goals do so many of us set is, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to get more things, I'm going to achieve more. And I'm wondering, what would the world be if we were to be more? If we could be more connected to the world around us, to ourselves, to each other, what would that be like? And this being piece, this one step, feeling each footfall of one step in front of the other, feeling each footfall, noticing the terrain under our feet, noticing the surroundings, being present to that, being in wonder and joy and awe. Not just joy, I mean, being in whatever it is, but being there. What kind of different world would we be living in if we valued that level of presence, that level of connection, of awareness? And the thing is that this is something that each of us can do in any given moment. Each of us can just take a breath and be present. It's available to all of us, the experience of living, not trying to get somewhere, but just being here in this moment. And what that allows us is the opportunity of that moment, the invitation of that moment, where we can then be partnering with life, and we can dance with life. Like if you've ever danced with a good dance partner, it's a collaboration. It's a deep interaction and connection and communication. And so if we can allow ourselves to feel each footfall of the steps we take, if we can be present to that, there's a richness. And the path may then invite us to go in different directions. So we can set out with an intention or even a goal, and find that we end up someplace very different from where we had originally imagined. If it were a goal, then that would have been a failure to meet that goal. If it's an intention, the intention may have a multitude of expressions, and it leaves room for evolution and discovery. And so the idea of one step at a time and feeling each footfall allows us to be able to be responsive to the call of life itself, to be in connection with the experience of life itself, to be able to dance with life itself and learn and grow. There's such richness available to us in in every moment for us to savor and enjoy. And when we get all kinds of crazy about so much to do and all the demands, to stand back and to look at this is manufactured. It's like a little box that we as humans have created, and we squeeze ourselves into those boxes, and we cram ourselves in there, and we cram other people in there, and we just live in this confined, limited perception of reality and what's important, and we elevate these things into just this recursive, self-referential world of values and expectations that aren't even ours for the most part, that we didn't even generate, but that we've kind of inherited and accepted because we never even thought to question them. You know, it's like, this is reality. This is what it is. I mean, we live in our cities, in our houses, in our communities, connected or disconnected, but how connected are we to the greater world and the thrum of life itself? Not not just the traffic in our streets, but the world beyond the human aspect. Some places it's not even visible, right? Like we've wiped away so much of nature in certain environments. But connecting to life is, I imagine, is something that would transform the way that we be as a species on the planet. Because we've constructed all these structures, finances and governmental structures and monetary structures and all kinds of rules and regulations and beliefs, and in so many ways most of those ideas are self-referential. It's all about humans. And when we take a closer look, you know, just to look into the soil and the infinitude of microbes and life forms that we somehow manage to sanitize away. What if we were to connect? What might be different if we could just be present to life as its own intelligence that we are part of? Not that we control, not that we dominate, but that we live within a much greater context. And as we can expand out of that context, there's a space for connection and wholeness. When we expand beyond this human-centric view of the universe. And so we can relish our steps, relish each step. Well, oh, but we could say, well, I don't have time. I have to get there. I have to get where I'm going. Well, how can we be in the process of getting wherever it is that we're going to? There's, I think that that's the art of living, is finding our feet, feeling the ground beneath each step as we move toward whatever it is we're moving toward. And then that could provide us potentially with perspective that may enable us to shift direction to something that might be more enriched and fulfilling. So that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share me and Enlightened World Network. The links are in the description. And as always, it is a deep pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to muse together on these mornings about what it is to be human. So until next time.